Hey everyone, today I'm going to do a review on the Chang'an Type F4. Now this cube has recently came out on the market and I was very excited to get it, and I was one of the few people that could get it pretty early since I did order it. I know Convinza got one early too, so that's pretty cool. And also I'm going to show you guys the box. So here's the box. I did open it from the bottom because I couldn't open it from the top. It was like really gripped on this side, sorry. And the box is Chinese characters. This is English translation. From this is just English translation, and they have the little laminated dude and their website, which I'm gonna visit soon. So dude on the box, and yep, so that's just the box. Let's get on to the actual parts of the cube. Now I'm gonna do a quick size comparison to, let's say, this is a Guhong version 1. You can see it is a bit bigger than the Guhong version 1, just by a millimeter or so. So this cube, it feels basically the same. Like if I played with this and then I started playing with something like this, it doesn't feel bigger. It feels exactly the same size. It doesn't really, the size difference you can't feel at all for some reason. I don't know why. So the first impressions I had on this was really bad and stiff. It was terrible. I don't know why it was so bad though. It's just really, the cube just didn't seem to perform the best. I lubricated and tensioned it, did all that stuff. It didn't feel the best. And then what I thought to do was to tighten the corner pieces. And the corner pieces do have screws. I'll get later into that with my mechanism part of the review. But anyways, I did screw in those, and now the cube is much better. It feels a lot more stable, and it actually turns quite nice now. So now turning quality is really good, fast. It has a bumpy feel, but very bumpy feel. And it seems to, like, when I turn it, do a U2, it lands perfectly with the holes. Like, look how dead on that is. That's just with, like, my regular turning. Pretty good, actually. So it has accurate turning too. The clicks, I guess, stop it somewhat. So I guess it has a clicky, smoothish feel. Feels kind of like an A5-ish thing. Well, no, an A5. Yeah, it feels like it. So, yep, that's turning quality. Let's get on to some stickers. The stickers are not the best. I have been playing with this, and the stickers aren't peeling per se, but I just don't like the colors. I would recommend replacing these because the stickers they don't look the greatest. I don't like them at all, actually. The orange is really bad. On camera it looks better actually, but in real life it just doesn't look best. I don't like it at all. So yeah, let's get on to some parts of the mechanism and see what's inside this cube. So I'm gonna get into so take it apart. You could also pull out the corner, or do die-in style and just pop it 45 degrees. So let's get on to the cubies. I'm going to zoom in. So I'm going to compare the pieces to, let's say, a Dian Zanchi, because this is the closest cube I can compare it to, or the Guhong version 2. That'd probably also be another cube I can compare it to. And let me get something. I'm going to get a screwdriver so I can take apart this corner to show you what's inside. So, here are the 3 pieces I'm going to compare it to. Let's compare the edges first. This is the Zanchi on the left and the Type F4 on the right. This cube has not been used, and you can see how I have cleaned this cube out, but this gunk is like permanently in there. It's really nasty, but that's not the point. I'm just showing you that the mechanism difference, or similarities too. You can see that these pegs look kind of like it on here, and these torpedoes, and the torpedo. Let's compare the corners. The corners are very different. They're nowhere near as, there's no scoop, but there is a you can see the scratch marks on here, and then you can see how it dips off, kind of like that. So that's pretty much. So that's the corners. I'm also going to compare this to a Type C4. Now, this is a Type C4. I'm not going to compare it to Type C5 because they're pretty much the same mechanism. You can see how similar that is. Look at that. That's pretty similar. And the torpedoes are different though, so the torpedoes is basically just sideways. So this cube is very similar, I guess you can see. Look at that. And here is the corner. As you can see, is also pretty similar. So that's the corner. And also, we're going to finally get into the corner pieces. So I had to tension these by tightening it all the way. So I'm going to unscrew it and show you guys what's inside. And I'm actually pretty curious too, because I don't know what's inside either. So you can see there's a little dust or screw stuff. I don't know, but there's some stuff on it. So once I take apart the corner, it's pretty interesting. So it's like a capped corner, except they just kind of screwed it on there. It's quite interesting. I don't know why they didn't glue it. Why didn't they just like glue this on here? It doesn't really make much sense. Could that be like a mod? Leave in the comments below. I'm not sure. Could that be like a mod? Just gluing these on here. You don't have to worry about the screws. These look like screws for like a cube, actually. So you can see, here's a screw. I guess you could put these in, and look, whoa. There's one interesting thing about these screws. Zoom in, focus. So you can see, my camera's not focusing very well, but you can see on these screws right here, that you can see it's like, yeah, it's a regular screw, and then this point right here, at the very end, it's like smaller so it fits into the divots better. So like, just press it in and then you can start screwing. So it's easier for screwing in. That's pretty interesting. I always thought about that, but never really I didn't want to do it because it's not that big of a deal. But that's pretty interesting. So a mod could be just to glue in these. If you wanted like extra hardware, like let's say you were doing a mod for like a V-cube, or something, or you needed springs for an experiment or something, then you could possibly just glue these corners in and take the hardware out. I mean, that's always a possibility, but I'm reviewing the cube on how it's supposed to come, not as how it's modded. So I will mod this later probably and do a video on it. So I'm going to put these back in. And also one more thing I found very interesting is these corners can actually go in like this. So you can see that this corner is right here. It's actually above the torpedo, or below the torpedo. So it's basically hitting the torpedo, like it's hitting this part of the torpedo. It's really weird, and the only way to fix it is by pulling the corner and then putting it back in. It's really weird. It's a weird lockup I get. It's not like a lockup that you get during solving, it's just when you're trying to put it back together you get that lockup. So let me try to get it. I'm pretty sure I can get it. Yep, there we go. Here's the lockup. I pressed it in to where it's above the below the torpedo. So basically it looks something like this in the inside. Like that. As you can see, it's already lowering. So it looks something like this. The torpedo is not high. This torpedo is high enough to where it can't do that. Plus it has this. But the Chang'an Type F4 does not have this, so it does do that. But it's pretty easy fix. So that's pretty much the mechanism. I've pretty much gone over all of it. The most similar mechanism to this is a Type C4, I have to say. Type C4 is the most similar thing to this cube. So I'm going to get into like more performance stuff like pops and lockups. This cube does not pop. I haven't had a single pop on it. Well, yeah, I've had a pop on it, but like it was an experiment. I was taking out all the torpedoes, and as soon as I did a single turn, the cube just popped. Like this whole row just popped. Like I just did sexy move like very lightly like this because I knew I had to be careful for the torpedoes. But no, it just kind of blew up in my hand. So the cube does pop without torpedoes, but with the torpedoes I haven't had a pop at all. So torpedoes do actually do something, and I just recommend leaving them in there overall. Lockups on this cube don't really occur as much, but the lack of corner cutting, which I'll get to in a minute, is causes lockups and makes shorter, lower angled corner cuts a lot more difficult, which can cause lockups for some people. So lockups are not that bad. So now let's get into the corner cutting of it. The corner cutting is not 45, as you can see. It locks up there. It's line to line. Nope. Corner cutting is not that great. I don't like it at all, actually. This cube is not really good for the corner cutting. As you can see, the corner cutting here, you can barely even do line to line. I don't know, my cube is tension type, but it feels really loose right now. So tensioning this thing was actually pretty hard. So if you plan to get this cube, just be warned that tensioning this thing is like really hard to do. I've actually tried to tension this thing for like hours, and I couldn't get the perfect tensions. I did it once to get cut 45, but it popped. It not popped, it didn't pop, but it locked up more. So I just tightened it, and the 45 was instantly lost, which stinks. And let's get into some reverse cutting, which is quite interesting. I actually like to see. So here is half the cubie. See how effortless that was? Effortless that was too. There's barely any resistance. If you look at like something like a Guhong, it's the same thing. It feels weirder. It's like resistance and then go. But this just feels effortless. Like it's effortless. Like it just goes. Like it won't even stop first. Like with the Guhong, it doesn't look like it stops, but it does. It feels like that it stops and then goes. So, but with this, it just goes. So the reverse corner cutting on here is quite different. It's really unique. I like the reverse corner cutting actually better than the actual corner cutting on this cube. So it's kind of sad, but reverse corner cutting is pretty good, I must say. That I am very pleased with reverse corner cutting. The centerpieces I want to show you guys. Let me see if I can get them out. You need a screwdriver to get them out, which is kind of, no. Oh, got it. Oh, okay, I didn't break it. Okay, so here's the centerpiece. This has the Sheng-En logo. Oh, you guys can see that pretty good. Yep, that's perfect angle. Sheng-En. There you go, you guys saw that. This is the logo for it, too, and here's the centerpiece. The centers haven't popped off for me, so that's pretty nice and awesome. And there's these little, it's pretty interesting compared to, let's say, a Dayan cube. It's totally different. They don't grip onto the cube, they just kind of like fit into the cube. It's a little different. So you just put it back in and just, Sheng-En Type F4, come on. And it just fits in snugly. So, basically my final recommendations of this. This cube I can feel has potential, but I don't see myself using this any more than usual. The cube does have, the corner cutting is acceptable to some extent, but it's not really the best speed cube out there. I was very excited about this cube, but was very also disappointed at the same time when I got this. It was really disappointing to see that the Type Fs kind of depleted themselves. I think it's the plastic, but I'm not too sure. I really think it's the plastic quality they used, but I'm not sure. It just doesn't seem like it has the full potential. I can see in the mechanism that there is no flaw that I could possibly see that would cause such a bad non-corner cutting puzzle. I don't see it, so I don't know. I really don't know what makes this cube terrible at corner cutting. The turning is great, I must say. The turning is quite nice, but it just doesn't have the speed cube that I kind of imagined for Type F. I feel like they've been depleting themselves. The Type F1 was okay. The Type F2 I heard is really good. Type F3 people were disappointed about because it felt like an A5. And the Type F4 was really, well, yeah, they've been going lower and lower. In my opinion, that's been what's happening. So, should you get this cube? I would say that, yeah, get this cube if you would, under circumstances, if you have money laying around, or like, let's say you like Type F cubes, and let's say you're a collector, and you used to Speed Cube, then yeah, go get this cube. It's a good, like, collector's item, I like to say. So yeah, check out this cube. It's really cool. Also, one more thing I did notice is that the holes are different. You can see from this die-in cube to this die-in cube, the holes are shaped a bit differently. It's really odd. So yeah, if you're like on a budget and you really don't want to risk a cube, then I wouldn't really recommend this cube. This cube is not for you if you're not a big risk taker for like main speed cubes or anything, and you're looking for a good cube. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions on the Chang'an Type F4. Thanks guys for watching. Bye.